The war started over rocks. Not precious gems or rare metals that powered starships, just ordinary rocks floating in space on the edge of human territory. The Vextar wanted them. Humanity said no. Simple as that. But nothing stayed simple in the galaxy for long. Hana stood on the bridge of the horizon watching the stars through the viewport. She had been an admiral in the Council military for 20 years. Her uniform carried medals from 3 different wars where she fought to protect Council worlds. Now those same Council members turned their backs on her people. The attack came without warning. Vextar warships crossed into human space and opened fire on mining colonies. Men, women, and children died in the first volley. The stations burned. Distress calls flooded every human frequency. "Help us," they screamed. "Please help us." Hana gave the order. The human fleet jumped to the colonies and found carnage. Bodies floated in space. Children. She would never forget their faces. The Vextar ship still fired on the survivors, hunting them through the debris like animals. Something broke inside her that day. Or maybe something finally made sense. She stopped thinking like a council officer and started thinking like a human. Her fleet tore into the Vextar ships with a fury that shocked both sides. Human weapons, designed by brilliant minds like Minho back on Earth, cut through Vextar shields like paper. But Hana did not stop at defense. She could not. Her people were dead. Children were dead. She took the fight to Vextar space and destroyed 3 of their military stations in a single week. The galaxy watched in shock as humanity showed its teeth. The Council summoned her immediately. Hana knew what was coming. She stood in the Grand Chamber on Nexus Prime, surrounded by representatives from hundreds of species. Above her, Councillor Thalvor sat on his throne, his reptilian eyes cold and calculating. Doyun, the human ambassador, tried to defend her. He presented evidence of the Vextar attack. He showed recordings of the massacre. He pleaded for justice. The Council listened in silence, then Thalvor spoke. His voice echoed through the chamber like distant thunder. He did not talk about the dead colonists. He did not mention Vextar crimes. Instead, he talked about humanity. How dangerous they were. How aggressive. How they threatened the peace of the galaxy with their violence. Hana felt rage building in her chest. She wanted to scream. "They killed our children," she wanted to say. "We defended ourselves." But she stayed silent and watched the theater unfold. Other counselors spoke. Species that humanity had fought beside. Species that humans had saved. One by one they condemned humanity. Dohyun saw the truth then. This was not a trial. It was an execution. The decision had been made before they even entered the chamber. The Vextar attack was planned. Dohyun learned this later from a sympathetic counselor who felt ashamed. The council elders wanted humanity gone. They feared human advancement. Human ships were too fast. Human weapons too powerful. Human colonies grew too quickly. They were becoming equals, and the old species could not tolerate equals. So they created a trap. They let the Vextar attack, knowing humanity would respond with force. Then they used that response as justification for removal. Clean, simple, and perfectly legal under council law. The vote came quickly. Humanity was expelled from the Galactic Council. All humans had 90 days to leave council space. Any who remained would be hunted as criminals. 3 centuries of service meant nothing. All the wars fought, all the lives given for the council erased in a single vote. Hana returned to her ship in silence. Around her, the exodus began. Billions of humans across hundreds of worlds received the order. Leave everything. Abandon your homes. Go to the void. The void. That lawless region of space where the council had no authority, where pirates ruled and dangers lurked in every shadow, where species went to die. That was humanity's new home. Minho worked frantically in his laboratory on Earth. He knew they had little time. The council would seize everything, all human research, all their technology. He downloaded decades of data, including restricted files that the council never let humans see, scientific discoveries, weapon designs, maps of space the council kept secret. If they were going to survive in the void, they needed every advantage. Minho copied it all onto secure drives and smuggled them onto evacuation ships. Yuna organized the ships. She was an engineer, brilliant with her hands and mind. She looked at the old human vessels and saw potential. In the chaos of evacuation, she modified cargo haulers and civilian transports, adding weapons, shields, anything that might help them survive. Ji-won flew patrol, protecting the evacuation convoys. She was young but already one of humanity's best pilots. Her parents died in the Vextar attack. Her sister too. She volunteered for every dangerous mission, daring pirates or council ships to try and stop the exodus. None came. The council was content to watch humanity leave. On the 89th day, Do-hyun made his choice. The council offered him a position if he stayed. A comfortable life. Safety. He was a valued diplomat, they said. Not like the others, he declined. If his people were exiled, then he was exiled too. He boarded the last ship leaving Earth and never looked back. The final convoy gathered at the edge of council space. Thousands of ships carrying billions of people, everything humanity owned fit into that fleet. Behind them, the lights of their former homes glittered in the darkness. Ahead lay only the unknown. Hana stood on the bridge of her flagship and looked at the readings. The void stretched before them, dangerous and unexplored. She thought about her crew, about all the humans looking to her for guidance, about the children who would grow up without the worlds their parents knew. She opened a channel to the fleet. Her voice reached every ship, every person. They think they broke us. They think exile is our end. But they are wrong. We will survive. We will build. And one day they will look at what we created and realize their mistake. They gave us our freedom. Now we will show them what free humans can do. The fleet jumped into the void together. Behind them, council space faded into memory. Ahead lay hardship and struggle, but also possibility. The council thought they won. They eliminated a rival. They maintained their power. They celebrated that night in their grand halls, drinking and congratulating themselves on handling the human problem so elegantly. But Thalvor felt a small worry as he looked out at the stars. Humans were resourceful, dangerous when cornered. He pushed the thought away. They were gone. That was all that mattered. He would remember that worry later, when it was too late to do anything about it. The void tried to kill them from day one. Hana watched people die from cold when life support failed. She watched them die from hunger when food supplies ran low. She watched them die from despair when they realized how far they had fallen. The first month was the worst. Ships broke down in the unstable space of the void. Strange energy fields damaged systems never designed for this region. Pirates attacked the weak and scattered convoys, taking supplies and prisoners. Every day brought new disasters. Hana made hard choices. She imposed military law across the fleet. Rationing was strict. Anyone caught stealing food faced punishment. She knew people hated her for it, but discipline kept them alive. Without order, the fleet would tear itself apart. They found an asteroid large enough to hollow out. Engineers like Yuna worked around the clock, cutting into the rock, creating chambers and corridors. Slowly, a city took shape inside the asteroid. They called it Sanctuary. Sanctuary was ugly at first. Dark tunnels lit by emergency lights, thin walls between cramped rooms. But it was shelter. It was home. And it was theirs. Minho worked in a laboratory carved from solid rock. The conditions were terrible, but the possibilities excited him. The void contained things the council forbade. Exotic matter that could power ships faster than anything in council space. Energy fields that could strengthen shields beyond known limits. Dark matter that could be weaponized. The council banned these things because they were dangerous. Too unstable, they said. Too unpredictable. But Minho saw opportunity. Without council restrictions, he could experiment freely. He could push science further than it had ever gone. His first breakthrough came 6 months into exile. He created a drive that let ships travel faster than council vessels without using their jump gates. The implications were enormous. Humans could move freely while council ships remained dependent on their infrastructure. Yuna took the designs and improved them. She built the first Void Runner, a ship designed specifically for this region of space. It was faster, more efficient, and tougher than anything humanity had built under council oversight. She built 10 more than 100. Meanwhile, Do-hyun made a discovery of his own. They were not alone in the void. Other species lived here, exiled or escaped from council space. Some had been here for centuries. Others, like the Solus, had been here for thousands of years. The Solus were ancient and cautious. They watched humans arrive with suspicion. Another species fleeing the council, another group that would probably fight them for resources. They kept their distance and prepared for conflict. Do-hyun went to them anyway. He took a small ship with no weapons and requested a meeting. The Solus could have killed him easily, Instead, they were curious. Why would a human come alone? Why would he trust them? Because we have no choice, Doyun told them honestly. Because the void will kill us without help. Because maybe we can help each other instead of fighting. The soulless elders discussed it for weeks. Finally, they agreed to trade. Human technology for soulless knowledge of the void. Maps of safe routes, warnings about dangerous regions, information that saved countless human lives. But not everyone in the void welcomed humanity. The Crimson Swarm controlled most of the trade routes and valuable resources. They were pirates, raiders, and slavers who preyed on the weak. When they saw human settlements growing, they saw opportunity. The first attack came without warning. Swarm ships hit an outer mining station, killing everyone and taking the equipment. Hana knew this was a test. If humans seemed weak, the attacks would continue. She gave Jiwan command of the response. Jiwan was young but ruthless. She had learned to hate in the war with the Vextar. She transferred that hate to anyone who threatened humans. Jiwan did not defend. She attacked. She tracked the swarm ships back to their base and hit them hard. Human ships, faster and better armed than the pirates expected, tore through their defenses. Jiwan destroyed 3 of their largest vessels in a single engagement. The swarm responded with their full force. Their mothership, a massive vessel built from scavenged parts of 100 different ships, led an armada against Sanctuary. They thought numbers would win. They were wrong. Humans had been preparing for this. Yuna had built defensive platforms around Sanctuary. Minyo had developed new weapons. And Jiwan had trained pilots who fought with desperate courage. The battle lasted 6 hours. The swarm mothership fell first, crippled by concentrated fire from every human vessel. The rest of the pirate fleet broke and ran. Jiwan wanted to pursue, to kill them all. Hana stopped her. They had made their point. News spread through the void quickly. Humans were not weak refugees anymore. They were dangerous. Other pirate groups left human settlements alone. Some even offered to trade legitimately. With security established, humanity truly began to build. Sanctuary expanded into a proper city with organized districts and functioning infrastructure. 3 more stations were built at strategic locations. Mining operations expanded to exploit the rich asteroid fields. More species came to trade. Some stayed. A soulless girl named Kira arrived with her family. Refugees from their own people's internal conflicts. She was young, barely more than a child. But she saw something in humanity that gave her hope. They had been broken and came back stronger. Maybe her people could too. A government formed naturally. Hana remained military commander, but civilians elected a council to handle domestic matters. They wrote laws. They established schools. They created systems to ensure everyone had food, shelter, and purpose. 2 years after exile, Minho showed Hana his greatest achievement yet, a shield system using quantum fields that made ships nearly indestructible. He powered it with exotic matter from the void, something that would have been illegal in council space. Hana watched the demonstration in silence. A test ship withstood firepower that should have vaporized it. The implications were staggering. With this technology, human ships would be superior to anything the council possessed. That night, she walked through Sanctuary and saw her people. They looked different now, harder, more confident. They had survived what should have killed them. They had built something new from nothing. Hyun found her there. He was an intelligence officer who ran a network of spies and informants. He brought news from council space. The council was watching humanity. Some counselors worried about human advancement. Others mocked the exiles, certain they would eventually fail. But a few understood the truth. Humans were not dying in the void. They were thriving. Free from council restrictions, they innovated faster than ever before, and that terrified certain people. Hana listened to his report and smiled. Good, she thought. Let them worry. Let them fear. They thought exile would destroy humanity. Instead, it freed them. The void was no longer a prison. It was home, and humans were just beginning to show what they could do. 20 years changed everything. Sanctuary City gleamed like a jewel in the darkness, its towers reaching high inside the hollowed asteroid. 4 more cities orbited nearby stars. The human fleet numbered 500 warships, each one superior to anything council engineers designed. But humanity was not alone anymore. 12 other species called the void home now, and together they formed something unprecedented. They called it the Free Worlds Coalition. Not a government, but an alliance of equals united by shared purpose and mutual respect. Do-hyun stood before representatives from all 12 species in the Grand Hall of Sanctuary City. He was old now, his hair gray, his face lined with years of hard work, but his voice remained strong as he addressed the gathering. We came to the void broken and desperate. The council rejected us. They exiled us because they feared competition. But look at what we built together. Not through domination, but through cooperation. I propose we formalize our alliance. The vote was unanimous. The Free Worlds Coalition became official. Every species had equal voice. Decisions required consensus. Military forces would defend all members. Resources would be shared fairly. It was everything the council claimed to be but never was. Minho unveiled humanity's latest innovation at the signing ceremony. The Genesis engine. A massive device that could transform dead worlds into living ones. What took the council centuries, the Genesis engine did in years. Planets that were barren rock could become gardens. Combined with human faster-than-light drives, the coalition could colonize at speeds that made council expansion look glacial. Empty systems that the council ignored became coalition territory. New worlds meant new resources, new homes, new opportunities. The exotic resources of the void proved incredibly valuable. Materials that existed nowhere else in the galaxy. Crystals that stored energy more efficiently than anything known. Metals that made shields stronger. Gases that powered engines better than conventional fuel. Human traders moved these resources into council space through secret channels. They dealt with border worlds, with merchant guilds, with anyone willing to buy superior products at lower prices. Council corporations lost business rapidly. Their technology suddenly looked outdated. Thalivor watched these developments with growing alarm. He sat in the council chamber's now supreme chair, the most powerful position in council space. But that power felt hollow as reports came in about coalition success. He pushed for a blockade. Council ships would patrol the border and stop all trade with the void. Anyone caught trading with the coalition would face punishment. The measure passed over objections from more reasonable councilors. The blockade failed immediately. Council ships could not match coalition speed. Human vessels slipped past patrols easily, and the economic restrictions hurt council worlds more than coalition ones. Merchants protested. Colonies complained about shortages. 3 species threatened to leave the council entirely, which they did. In a single dramatic vote, 3 council species declared independence and applied to join the coalition. Thalivor responded with force. Council battleships surrounded their worlds. Submit or face military action, he demanded. The species refused. Council forces opened fire, killing thousands. Hyun made sure every moment was recorded. His spy network broadcast the massacre across the galaxy. The council's true nature revealed for all to see. Public opinion turned dramatically. Many council species began questioning their leadership. Why did they use force against members who wanted to leave? Why did they fear the coalition so much? What were they really protecting? Jiwon led the coalition response. She was an admiral now, commanding a battle group of the most advanced warships ever built. She jumped her fleet into the besieged systems and confronted the council forces. The council admiral demanded she withdraw. She refused. He threatened to open fire. She activated her quantum shields and invited him to try. The council ships fired first. Their weapons struck coalition shields and dissipated harmlessly. Jiwon did not return fire. She did not need to. She simply sat there invulnerable, proving the vast technological gap between council and coalition forces. The council fleet retreated in humiliation. The 3 species joined the coalition. Others began considering the same move. Thalivor raged in the council chambers. He called for war. Total war against the coalition. Destroy them before they destroy us, he argued. Some councilors agreed. Others hesitated. War with the coalition meant war with technology they could not match. While politicians argued, Sanctuary City celebrated. Kira helped organize a cultural festival, bringing together species that once feared each other. Soulless musicians played beside human artists. Engineers from 6 different species collaborated on new designs. Children of different worlds played together without caring about old divisions. Yuna completed her masterwork during this time. The Titan-class battleship. It dwarfed anything the Council possessed. 3 kilometers of advanced engineering and firepower. When it launched from Sanctuary's shipyards, the entire coalition watched in awe. Hana walked its corridors with pride. She was 70 now, her body showing the strain of decades of command, but her mind remained sharp. She looked at this vessel and saw proof of what exile had given humanity: freedom to innovate, freedom to excel, freedom to become more than the Council ever allowed. But that night a message arrived that changed everything. It came from a Council admiral who secretly sympathized with humanity. The message was brief and terrifying. Something ancient was waking in deep space, something that destroyed civilizations. The Council knew about it but could not agree on how to respond. Hana pulled up deep space sensor readings. There at the edge of detection range she saw them. Massive energy signatures moving toward the galaxy. Not one or two, thousands. An invasion fleet of unimaginable size approaching from the void between galaxies. She called an emergency meeting of coalition leadership. Toyun Minho, Yuna, Jiwan, and representatives from every member species gathered in the war room. "We have a problem," Hana said simply. She showed them the readings. Showed them the estimated arrival time. 6 months. Maybe less. Minho analyzed the energy signatures and went pale. "These are not natural. These are ships. Thousands of ships larger than anything we've built." "The Council knows," Jiwan asked. "They know. They're doing nothing. Political paralysis and pride prevent them from admitting the threat." Silence fell over the room. Everyone understood. The Council's failure would doom them all. These invaders would not stop at Council space. They would sweep through the entire galaxy. Coalition, Council, everyone. "We need to prepare," Hana said. "Full mobilization. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon. If the Council won't defend the galaxy, we will." "Can we win?" someone asked. Hana looked at the readings again. At the impossible numbers. At the vast approaching danger. She thought about humanity's journey. From exile to empire. From broken to strong. From victims to protectors. "We'll find out," she said. "Mobilize everything. This is what we built the coalition for. Now we defend it." They called themselves the Devourers. Ancient machines older than recorded history. They existed for one purpose only: to consume. They ate entire civilizations, processing organic matter into fuel, turning ships and cities into raw materials for their endless expansion. The first system died in hours. 15 billion beings harvested before anyone understood what was happening. The Council sent their best battle group to investigate. 20 capital ships, 500 support vessels, elite crews trained for decades, none returned. Sensor recordings showed the Devourer fleet emerging from dark space like a nightmare-given form. Ships that defied understanding. Built with geometry that hurt to look at. Weapons that tore through Council shields like they did not exist. Panic spread across Council space. System after system went dark. The Devourers advanced on multiple fronts, each fleet consuming everything in its path. Distress calls flooded communication networks. "Save us. Help us, please." Dalvor ordered a counterattack. He assembled the largest fleet in Council history. Every species contributed ships. 2,000 capital vessels, 10,000 support craft. The pride of galactic civilization. The battle lasted 6 minutes. The Council fleet was obliterated. Devourer weapons cut through their formations with mechanical precision. Ships exploded. Millions died. The survivors fled in disorder, their confidence shattered completely. Nexus Prime itself came under threat. The Devourers advanced toward the Council capital, unstoppable and merciless. In the Council chambers, fear replaced arrogance. Their military was gone. Their defenses proven useless. Extinction approached on a schedule measured in days, which was why a delegation arrived at Sanctuary City. 3 counselors, including one who had voted for humanity's exile 20 years ago. They looked sick, afraid, desperate. Do-hyun met them in a conference room, not the grand hall. He did not offer them comfortable seats. He did not serve them refreshments. He sat across from them in cold silence and waited. The lead counselor spoke first. "We need your help. The Devourers will destroy us all. Council space. Coalition space, everyone, please." Do-hyun stared at him. "You exiled us. You watched us leave with nothing. You cheered when you thought we would die. Now you come begging? We were wrong. Please, billions will die. Billions already died. Ours. In your manufactured war with the Vextar." The counselors had no answer. They sat in miserable silence while Do-hyun considered. Part of him wanted to refuse. Wanted to watch the Council burn. They earned this fate. But the coalition leadership debated for 2 days. Jiwan argued for letting the council fall. They deserve it. Let them reap what they sowed. Others agreed. Many species in the coalition suffered under council rule. Why save them? Hana disagreed. The devourers won't stop at council borders. If they win there, they come here next. Better to fight now with allies, even reluctant ones, than alone later. Minho supported her. I studied the recordings. Devourer technology is advanced beyond anything we've seen. Even our quantum shields might not hold against sustained assault. We need every ship, every soldier, every resource. The vote was close, but pragmatism won. The coalition would help. On their terms, Dohyun presented the council with demands: full recognition of coalition sovereignty, reparations for exiled species, complete freedom of movement between council and coalition space, and Thalvor must resign immediately. The council accepted everything. They had no choice. Thalvor resigned in shame, replaced by more reasonable leaders who admitted past mistakes. Mobilization began immediately. The coalition activated every warship, every pilot, every soldier prepared for deployment. Yuna worked without sleep, retrofitting council vessels with quantum shields and improved weapons. It would not make them equal to coalition ships, but it would help them survive longer. Minho developed new weapons specifically designed to counter devourer technology. He studied their patterns, identified weaknesses in their coordination. The devourers operated as a hive mind, all ships controlled by central command nodes. Destroy the node and the fleet would collapse. Easier said than done. The command node sat deep within the devourer formation, protected by thousands of vessels. Getting to it would require a suicide mission through impossible odds. Hana developed the battle plan. The combined fleet would engage the devourers at Nexus Gate, buying time for a strike force to break through and destroy the command node. It was desperate. It was dangerous. It was their only chance. She needed someone to lead the strike force. Someone skilled. Someone brave. Someone willing to die, Jiwan volunteered before Hana could ask. I'll take the Titan, give me your best pilots and we'll get through. You might not come back, Hana said quietly. I know. But if we don't try, nobody comes back. Everyone dies. At least this way we have a chance. The strike force assembled. 50 ships, 500 crew, volunteers from every coalition species. Kira was among them. She was older now, a trained officer who knew this might be her last mission. But she went willingly, proudly, ready to defend the home that took her in. The fleets gathered at Nexus Gate. Coalition, Council. Former enemies united against common threat. Millions of ships stretching across space. The largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. The devourers came like a dark tide. Thousands of nightmarish vessels advancing with mechanical precision. Their weapons charged. Their intent clear. Consume everything. Hana gave the order. All ships engage. The battle began. Space lit up with weapons fire. Ships exploded by the hundreds. Council vessels fell first. Their inferior technology no match for devourer firepower. But coalition ships held the line. Quantum shields absorbing hits that would have destroyed lesser vessels. Jiwan watched the main battle from the Titan's bridge. She waited for her moment. Waited for the devourers to commit fully. Then she gave the order. Strike force, full speed. Break through the center. The Titan and its escorts accelerated to maximum velocity. They hit the devourer formation like a spear. Shields deflecting return fire. Ships fell behind them, destroyed one by one. But they pushed forward. Kira manned the weapons console. She fired constantly, targeting devourer vessels that got too close. Around her, crew members worked with desperate focus. They all knew the odds. They went anyway. 10 ships remained. Then 5, then 3. The Titan took massive damage. Shields failing. Hull breaching. But ahead they saw it. The command node. A massive structure pulsing with energy, coordinating the entire devourer fleet. Jiwan activated Minho's quantum disruptor. It was experimental, untested, it might not work, but it was their only shot. Fire everything. Now. The Titan's remaining weapons discharged simultaneously. The quantum disruptor activated. Energy tore through space, striking the command node. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the node collapsed, imploded. The effect cascaded through the devourer hive mind. Across the battlefield, thousands of devourer ships went dark. Dead. Silent. The battle was over. The galaxy saved, but at terrible cost. The Titan drifted through the debris field, barely holding together. Jiwan sat in the command chair, watching damage reports flood her screens. 2/3 of her strike force was gone. Good people, brave people, dead because she led them into hell. But they won. The Devourer command node was destroyed. Across the galaxy, thousands of enemy ships floated dead in space. The hive mind collapsed completely. The invasion stopped. Kira helped coordinate rescue operations from her damaged console. Her hands shook from exhaustion and fear, but she kept working. Around her, the surviving crew did the same. They were alive. Somehow, impossibly, they were alive. The combined fleet mourned its losses. The Coalition lost 40% of its warships. The Council lost even more. Entire battle groups were gone. Millions of soldiers and crew dead. Worlds burned. Cities reduced to rubble. Victory felt hollow when the costs were counted. But it was victory. Civilization survived. That meant something. In the days after the battle, a question emerged. What now? The Council was shattered, their military destroyed, their authority broken. The Coalition stood supreme, possessing the only significant military force left in the galaxy. Some Coalition members saw opportunity. Take control, establish dominance, make the Council species serve like they once made others serve. It was justice, they argued, fair punishment for centuries of abuse. Jiwan supported this view. She returned from the battle traumatized and bitter. She saw friends die. Good people sacrificed because the Council was too proud and stupid to defend themselves. Why should they be forgiven? But Hana refused. She called a meeting of Coalition leadership and spoke plainly. If we become conquerors, we become what we hated. We repeat the cycle. Is that really what we want? They deserve it, Jiwan said coldly. Let them feel what exile means, what powerlessness means. Maybe they do, but we are better than our worst impulses. We built the Coalition on cooperation and equality. If we abandon that now, everything we built means nothing. The debate lasted days. Strong arguments on both sides. Eventually, Hana's view prevailed, but barely. The Coalition would not conquer, but they would demand change. Representatives from Council and Coalition gathered at Sanctuary City. The Council sent new leadership, moderates who admitted past mistakes. Thalvor was gone, disgraced and exiled himself. How fitting, Dohyun thought. Dohyun stood before the assembly and proposed something unprecedented. Not Council supremacy, not Coalition conquest, but a complete restructuring of galactic government. We call it the Galactic Compact, a democratic federation where every species has equal voice, where decisions require consensus, where military force serves defense only, controlled by representatives from all members. No species can veto the collective will. No species can dominate others. Some Council species rejected it immediately. Treat lesser species as equals? Unthinkable. Their ancestors ruled the galaxy for millennia. They would not surrender that status. Some Coalition species wanted revenge, not peace. They suffered under Council rule. Why forgive now? But the moderates prevailed. Public sentiment demanded change. Citizens from both sides were tired of conflict, tired of hierarchy, tired of old divisions. The war showed that cooperation worked better than domination. The vote took weeks. Species debated internally. Factions formed and dissolved. Compromises were made. Finally, the decision came. The Galactic Compact would be established. The old Council dissolved. A new era began. Minho became the Compact's first chief scientific officer. He would oversee technology sharing between all species. No more restricted knowledge. No more artificial limitations. Science would advance through cooperation. Yuna led reconstruction efforts. Worlds needed rebuilding. Fleets needed repair. She organized teams from dozens of species working together, sharing techniques and knowledge. The work would take decades, but it would be done right. Jiwan struggled. The war broke something in her that would not heal easily. Hana convinced her to train the new Unified Defense Force. Teaching helped. Working with young officers from many species reminded her why they fought, not for revenge, but for protection. Kira represented the new generation, young people who never knew the old divisions. She worked in diplomatic corps, building bridges between species. To her, the compact was normal. The old council seemed bizarre and cruel. They offered Hana the position of compact supreme commander. She declined. She was 75 and exhausted. Decades of command left her tired and ready to rest. Instead, she proposed joint command. Representatives from multiple species sharing authority. No single person should have that much power, she argued. Absolute power corrupted absolutely. The council proved that. Her last act was establishing the Void Memorial, a massive structure orbiting Sanctuary City, honoring everyone who died in exile and war. Names carved into crystal walls, millions of names, billions. A reminder of the cost of conflict, a warning to future generations. The dedication ceremony drew representatives from every compact species. They stood together in silence, reading names, remembering loss. No one left unchanged. After the ceremony, Hana walked through Sanctuary City. It looked different now. Not just human anymore. Architecture from hundreds of cultures blended together. Species that once feared each other lived side by side. Children played together without caring about old hatreds. She found Do-hyun at an observation deck, watching ships come and go. He was old too, his body failing, his time short. But his eyes still held intelligence and determination. Was it worth it? He asked. Everything we lost, everything we suffered. Was exile worth it? Hana considered the question. She thought about the dead, about her lost years, about the pain and struggle. Then she looked at the station around them, at the peace they built, at the future they secured. The council gave us exile as punishment, but they freed us. Free from their restrictions, free from their corruption, free to become more than they allowed. We took their punishment and made it opportunity. We claimed the void and transformed it into something better than what we lost. And we changed the galaxy, Do-hyun added quietly. Yes, we did. Not through conquest, but through example. We showed that cooperation works better than domination, that diversity creates strength, that freedom drives innovation. They watched in comfortable silence as a human colony ship departed, escorted by vessels from a dozen species, heading to unexplored space. Continuing humanity's journey of discovery. Where will they go? Do-hyun asked. Wherever they want. That is the point. They are free. The compact faced enormous challenges ahead, integrating vastly different cultures, preventing new conflicts, building trust after centuries of division. The work would never truly end. But for the first time in galactic history, there was genuine hope. Real cooperation based on equality rather than force. A system designed to prevent the abuses that led to humanity's exile. Humanity would never forget the betrayal. That memory stayed sharp, but they refused to be defined by it. They were not refugees or exiles anymore. They were pioneers, builders, protectors of a new order where all species could thrive. The council thought exile would destroy them. Instead, it forged them into something stronger, something better, something the galaxy needed but never knew was possible. Hana left the observation deck eventually. Her work was done. History would judge whether they succeeded. But standing there, watching the diverse ships of the compact working together in peace, she felt something she had not felt in years. Hope. The void was no longer empty, no longer feared. It was home. And from that home, humanity and their allies would build a future worth the sacrifice.